Hey, what's up, GW Company Live? Saturday morning. I've been up since about 2:30, and the reason being is because I wanted to bring to you guys another review. I originally wanted to do it yesterday, but I had so much running around to do that I wanted to do it at the end of the day yesterday, and I never got a chance to. And the film that I want to talk about today has garnered a lot of buzz, and I think it's destined to become a cult classic. It's the really recent Nicolas Cage film called Willy's Wonderland. Now, you guys, couple of things about this movie. Just like in Mandy, Nicolas Cage does absolutely no talking and can carry the film without saying a word. And to me, that is amazing. The second thing is that you're either going to love this film or think it's the cheesiest thing on the face of the earth. That being said, I'm going to go over a little bit about what this film's about because it is pretty interesting. And the more you kind of watch it, the more you pick it up and the more that you either, like I said, will like it or hate it. Now, the other thing that I want to elaborate on is that to me, this film, I loved it, and I wish it would have went on a little bit longer. But hey, it was all good. Basically, Nicolas Cage plays a janitor, and that's one of the other things I'd like to say. I am a janitor, okay? And you see cops in movies, you see truck drivers, you see everybody else portrayed in movies except for janitors. And this film was pretty awesome because, like I said, Nicolas Cage does portray a janitor. And I know in my line of work, I rarely ever talk to people when I'm cleaning bathrooms or, vacuuming the floor. So I can relate to the silence in this movie, and it was pretty cool. Um, but anyway, there is a place in the middle of nowhere called Willy's Wonderland, and it has a very, very horrid past, if you will. Um, it was run by serial killers. They committed suicide. They placed their souls in the bodies of the animatronic puppets, and it's sort of a hybrid Chuck E. Cheese type thing. New owner wants to reopen it, makes a deal with possessed demon puppets or possessed puppets or animatronics or however you want to say it, that they will continue to feed or give the puppets victims in order for the puppets or Muppets, however you want, the animatronic figures. If they give them victims, then the animatronic figures will not go into town and slaughter everybody. And it sounds like a really cheesy premise, but in this movie it actually works because this film is shot like an old 70s grindhouse movie, and it even has the 2.0 mono stereo mix, which again adds to the little touches of that. But anyway, Nicolas Cage, Nicolas Cage's character, the janitor, has some car trouble. And of course, they try to rope him in, and they want him to become the next sacrifice. So what do? They make a deal with him. They say, "Look, you clean up Willy's Wonderland, we'll fix your car." He has to go through about 6 or 7 animatronic puppets, and basically the whole movie is Nicolas Cage kicking the crap out of every animatronic figure there. And there is a lot of blood in this film. In fact, I was really surprised. There is a strong supporting cast. Lot of strong supporting cast in this film, but Nicolas Cage makes the film. The one thing is, like I told you, you guys are either going to love it or hate it because you're going to think it's the dumbest thing on earth. However, this film does a couple things right. It captures the mood of the old 80s slasher films, and it also brings back the fear of when you were a little kid. I remember going to Chuck E. Cheese, and those things scared the living hell out of me. So when we see Nicolas Cage kick the crap out of these animatronic demons, it's kind of like harkening back to our childhood and just like the fear of clowns. If you hate a clown, you see a clown get beat up, you feel awesome. I was really surprised about this. I know critics either were divided about this. They said it was an okay movie or they said it was pure garbage. But the one thing that I'm learning is that Nicolas Cage, being the king of the direct-to-video movies, is actually a very, very awesome actor. Like I said, Mandy had almost no fanfare whatsoever. It premiered on Shudder. It had a little bit of a buzz to it, and it was one of my favorite horror movies of this year, or last, if you want to call it that. This film is a mixed bag of everything. We get to see Cage go nuts. We also get to see him clean. And there's a couple of things that you'll notice. He changes his shirt pretty regularly. I guess he doesn't like a bloodstained shirt. He drinks a soda called Punch Pop left and right. And it's probably the equivalent to about 300 Bang coffees. Because the boy is hyper. The animatronics are done quite well. The story is actually a little bit cheesy, but it does work in this movie. This movie, I believe, was directed by Kevin Lewis. Could be wrong. The writing on the DVD, guys, is so small you can't even tell who the director is in the supporting cast. But Emily Tosta, she plays the daughter of a local policewoman who helps Nick Cage, and her and her friends get roped into it, and they systematically get slaughtered. In the meantime, Cage does try to intervene and take out and rescue them. Doesn't really go so well. But I have to say, this is definitely buzzworthy. It's really a fun picture to watch, especially when, you kind of know what's going to happen, and you don't know if Nicolas Cage's character, the janitor, will make it out alive, but trust me, this is a pretty awesome movie. The only thing, though, at the very end, there is some CGI fire. And I know that bothers some people because they say, well, they should have budget. They should know how to do stunts. Why do we have to throw CGI into everything? I don't know. But the blood and gore is done very well. The creatures are done very well. The actual atmosphere does remind you of a boarded up, Chuck E. Cheese. So, and like I said, the movie kind of makes sense around the halfway point when you hear the Willy's Wonderland horrible history of it. And it kind of plays well into that, like I said, that 80s slasher thing. And that's what they did a lot in the 80s. They started you off with a movie, you got into it, and halfway through they would tell you the reasons that things are going on and this and that. And it was very, very awesome. So I got up at 3 a.m, like I said, guys, to watch this. Because I did want to bring this review to you yesterday. And I know I have some new viewers, and I just wanted to say, hey, man, welcome aboard. I hope that, you learned something by watching me. And it has been crazy. It's been crazy. On other note, one of our favorite Showtime shows has ended, and I'm talking about Shameless. And if you guys have not seen that, you guys should check up with the Gallagher family. They are pure dysfunction. And we got attached to them. We watched the entire run. So last week, or the week before, no, it was last week, when Shameless ended, it left a lot of unanswered questions, and it also had me teared up. And I know what you're going to say, Greg, how come you get emotional when, things end? I guess it's because you become attached to the characters. You become attached to, seeing Frank Gallagher try to scheme and steal his way out of a situation. And in this season, they had Frank Gallagher, who was brilliantly played by William H. Macy. He had, in the show, they gave him alcoholic dementia. They did a lot of things with Frank. And Frank ended up dying in the final episode. If you guys haven't seen it, I'm not going to go into details, but it was a bittersweet scene because you're like, if you watch the show from the beginning, you're like, this guy has to be punished for the bad parenting. But also, you kind of felt really bad for them, because there are people out there like that, that are, trying to find themselves, and they have the dementia going, and they have the health problems, and they really just want to be happy, and they revert back to their childhood. And you see a lot of that, in the last season. And I know that the show was built around the fact that everybody hated Frank. Frank was the most horrible dad in the whole face of the earth, but he let his kids do whatever the hell they wanted, and it really got you. In fact, there was a lot of emotion in there. But if you haven't seen it, if you have a high tolerance, definitely check out Shameless. It is probably one of the best shows Showtime has ever put out, next to Dexter and Twin Peaks. And I think it goes Dexter, Showtime, or Shameless, then Twin Peaks. So I got all wrapped up in that. But I really hope to see the Gallagher family back on Showtime in some form or another. That is cool. And I want to give big props to my man, one of my favorite actors on that show, Noel Fisher, who played the husband to one of the characters on there, and he was brilliant. In fact, his lines, any line that Noel Fisher has ever uttered in that show is awesome and comedy gold. I mean, honestly. He plays Mickey Malkovich. You got to check him out. But like I said, the show's not for everybody. It does have a lot of controversial things going for it. But if you get a minute and you want to binge watch a great show and learn what dysfunction's all about, definitely check out Shameless. And like I said, Willy's Wonderland, probably one of the best underrated sleeper hits of the year. And I hope you guys enjoy it, because it's really a blast to watch Nicolas Cage destroy these animatronics. And I think the scariest films, too, are the ones where the villains have no motive. Like a serial killer who just kills just because. And you find that motive in this movie. This movie was a lot better than what I anticipated, guys. I really, really thought it was going to be really, really stupid. But like I said, you leave the film and you want more. You want to see Nick Cage come back. You want to see more of, destroying animatronic puppets, or maybe even burning down the place. You want to see that. So that's the only place I think Kevin Lewis dropped the ball, is because he should have made this film a little bit longer. But the film is very, very, very fun to watch. So definitely give Willy's Wonderland a check up. I was very impressed. And like I said, I got up at 3 a.m. for the buzz, and it was well worth it. So we're going to be watching Tourist Trap, and later on I'll bring you the review for that film. It's GW. Oh, and one more thing, guys. Be sure to watch Creepshow on Shudder, and be sure to check out The Last Drive-In Season 3. It premiered last night. I think the replay will be on tomorrow. And Joe Bob Briggs' guest will be none other than Eli Roth. If that interests you, definitely check it out. Only streaming on Shudder. And I'll bring you back that Tourist Trap review here soon. Anyway, again, I'd like to say welcome aboard to all the new subscribers and people that I've talked to. And I hope I can teach you a thing or two about horror movies, or just things in general. Catch you on the flip side.